So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview. Broadcast and recorded live on blogtalkradio.com from the new media and baseball capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. Florida Gators, Oklahoma Sooners. It's time for the 2009 BCS National Championship game, and so we're talking football today on Mr. Media with Kent Walls, co-host of Fox Sports and Fox College Sports Channel's Tailgate Tour. For the last 5 months, Kent and his delightful, yes, that's man code for hot, co-host Sarah Carges have crisscrossed college campuses all across the United States in search of pigskin, tail, and tall tales. Today, he's going to tell us what he's seen. He's going to see us what he's told, too. We'll also get his take on this week's big game and why the Florida Gators, Mr. Media's alma mater, will walk away with the big title for the second time in 3 years. Kent, welcome to Mr. Media.
Bob, thanks for having me. I know as a Florida alumni, you've got to be pretty excited right now with the Gators' second time in 3 years here.
Well, you know, excitement is the first time. The second time in 3 years, yeah, it's pretty much, yeah, we've been expecting it to be this way.
I like that. I like that confidence. That's good confidence. Going into the game, you have to be confident. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good. We haven't talked in a while. We've known each other for a while, and I'm delighted for all your success this past year. I'm hoping that 09 will be just as big a step forward as 08 was for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sitting in a hotel room in Miami right now, and I'm just waiting to head over this morning for the start of things when it comes to the national championship this week. We'll be here all week, so. Oh,
I just assumed you were waiting for the girls to show up at your room. I'm sorry. I don't know why I was thinking that.
Listen to this guy. I love it. Yeah, so Miami, a walk out of the airplane, wasn't expecting the humidity in January, but apparently it's humid here 364 out of 365 days a year. So
that would be true, unfortunately. Yeah, I spent a year at the University of Miami going to school, and it is every morning you wake up and you go, "Oh my God, where am I?"
Are you even allowed to say that you spent a year at the University of Miami when you're a Florida grad?
Well, it was freshman year. You know how foolish freshmen are. They don't know what
it doesn't count, right? You're 18. You didn't know what you're doing. You just made a decision. Your parents maybe forced you to go there, and then you kind of got the realization once after the freshman year, and you decided I got to go to a winning school, right?
Well, you know the truth is, the absolute truth is, when I was there, the year I was at Miami, O.J. Anderson graduated that year, and Jim Kelly graduated that year. So it wasn't a bad program.
Yeah, I know. Miami's, except for the last 3 or 4 years here, they've had one of the top-tier programs in the country.
Well, I'm stalling here, but what I really want to know is why do they even need to play the game this week, Kent? I mean, clearly the Gators will win, right?
Bob, to be honest with you, it's going to be one of the best matchups we've seen in a long time. There's been already a lot of good bowl matchups, seeing Utah pull off the win over Alabama. Last night, seeing the Buckeyes lose in the last minute of the 2-minute drill by Colt, I just couldn't believe that. I felt so bad. I have some Buckeye history in my blood, so I felt bad for all Buckeye fans out there. But this Oklahoma-Florida matchup is going to be unbelievable. Finally watching a Big 12 team who's been putting up record numbers. Last 6 games of the season, they averaged 58 points a game. Last 4, they put up over 60. To watch them go up against Florida, who's got, in my opinion, one of the best defenses in the country. I think they let up 12.2 points a game all season long. And any SEC defense, in my mind, is better than a Big 12 defense. So, and then Tebow, you can't say enough about the guy. The guy's one of the best football players out there as far as character and as far as a guy on the field. I know his coach always talks about he's not the best passer I've had. He's not the best runner I've had. He's the best player who makes everyone else around him better. It's just what Tebow does. Tebow gets out there and just makes things happen. So it's going to be interesting. You got a true quarterback like Bradford against Tebow, who's just a football player, So it's going to be interesting to see.
I mean, does Bradford hold up against Tebow? And I mean, we went through this 2 years ago. I remember, there was all you mentioned the Buckeyes. There was all this talk about, Ohio State, and, they came out and, they scored a touchdown on the first drive, and it was like, Ohio State is that good. And then, they looked a little swishy the rest of the game, if you don't mind my saying so.
Oh, no, you can completely. I'm actually an Arizona State grad, so I'm Sun Devil first. So you can say whatever you want about the Buckeyes. Statistically this year, Bradford holds up far better than Tebow. He's putting up 20 more touchdowns than him, 1,000 more yards. Bradford threw for over 4,600 yards this year. Tebow threw, I want to say, for 35. So statistically, absolutely, it wasn't Tebow's numbers from a year ago, but it's one of those things. He's facing Big 12 defenses every week, Bradford, and especially this year. Not in past years, but this year, the Big 12 defenses have just been brutal, if I can say it frankly. There, an SEC defense who Tebow is facing he's facing teams like Alabama and Georgia, LSU, teams who are known for top defenses in the country. So that's why his numbers were a little bit not as impressive as what Bradford put up, but it's going to be interesting just because, they always talk about how Bradford will be the more pure NFL quarterback, and Tebow, who knows if he'll even play quarterback in the NFL. Will it be maybe a tight end? I heard that recently on sports radio. So it'll just be interesting to see kind of what how the offense is after the break. This 4-week break bothers me in college football too. Super Bowl, they take a week off, and then they get right back to it. The teams, it's similar to the World Series. Even when they have these 7-day breaks, suddenly the teams just are getting out of rhythm. We have a 4-week break. That's like going back into training camp again. I think it's unfair to the game. I think it's unfair to the fans. And I understand it's for revenue purposes with the bowl games and everything, but I support the 18 playoff system that our newly elected president supports.
Well, certainly the Buckeyes were hurt 2 years ago by having an even longer break because Florida played the SEC championship, and then they played they played the FSU game, then they played the SEC championship. I think Ohio State was off both of those weeks plus the 4 weeks. So I mean, I agree with you. It's a long time, and you get so ramped up for the end of the season, then you got to wait the 4 weeks. I want to take you back, Kent, to the discussion about Bradford versus Tebow, though.
I didn't mean to insult your quarterback. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. No, I'm just curious, and I'm not a big statistics guy. But did Bradford account for that many more touchdowns total, or total points than Tebow, or is it throwing? Did he throw 20 more touchdowns?
Yards-wise this year, he put up 4,600 or so yards. Tebow put up 3,500. I'm absolutely correct on that. As far as the touchdown numbers, I wish I had them here in front of me. Unfortunately, I don't.
Okay.
I want to say he put up 49 touchdowns this year, and Tebow, I don't know if it was 20 more or 10 more. I might be wrong, Bob. I was looking at it. I looked at those a couple weeks ago, the numbers before the game, and I haven't looked at the touchdown numbers since.
I'm just wondering if we're giving Tebow credit for all the rushing touchdowns that he scored.
And you're absolutely correct there. As far as they're just different types of quarterbacks is what they are. And, who's to say which one is preferred, especially in college football? You look at past years' Heisman winners like Troy Smith. Troy Smith's got a similar, although completely different body frame to Tebow. He's 5'11", right, maybe $185. The guy plays as opposed to Tim Tebow, who's 6'5" and can bench more than any lineman on his team. They have a similar similar approach to the game, and that's, we're just going to win in any possible way. If that means I have to run it in, if that means we're doing the option, if that means I'm actually throwing the ball. But then it's just interesting to see those types of quarterbacks and what happens to them when they go to the NFL as well, in my opinion. Some of them do well, but some of them, Troy's third string on the Ravens these days. He's not doing as well as we'd like. He's not doing what Matt Ryan's doing for the Falcons, but it's going to be interesting to see how the game plays out. I'm hoping for a shootout, but I hope for a shootout. I expected a shootout last night, at least on Texas side against the Buckeyes, and at halftime it was 6-3. Not what I expected for a team who put up similar numbers to Oklahoma all year long. So
that kind of cost my interest last night. My wife turned it on. I've got a nephew at Ohio State, and I'll tell you a funny story about that in a minute. But and I said, well, what's the score? She said it's 6-3. I said, I'm not investing the time. Sorry, one more year that Ohio State just can't seem to muster all the or live up to its hype. It just says to me that must be a weaker conference than we had traditionally thought. I mean, it just
especially this year. Penn State's program was top tier, but then we saw what happened to them against.
Yeah, I mean, it really.
You can't even justify that conference after watching the blowout, especially with the arguments that the Pac-10 is so weak. And then to see what USC did to Penn State was, I just felt bad. I was getting on the plane out of Los Angeles yesterday, and a lot of Penn State fans were going through security with me, just distraught. I felt bad for all Penn State fans leaving Los Angeles yesterday.
That's sad. That's sad. Well, and there was a lot of that. I know the Outback Bowl here in Tampa was a disappointment for a lot of people because South Carolina. I mean, the expectations in Florida are, when Steve Spurrier is in a big game, his team is going to perform. That they may outperform. And here they just, they barely shut up. He went for the field goal to make it 10 points at the end, just because he thought it would, it's just a couple more points. Let me just tack it on. It's not like the days when he'd be beating Alabama, 40-0, and he'd tack on 7 just to, it's just, it's sad.
I know. I'm telling you, this break just throws everybody off, and there's so many upsets in bowl games that aren't expected. To be honest with you, the Utah game shocked me, absolutely shocked me, seeing a powerhouse like Alabama, who's number one a lot of the season, coming out of the SEC, which in my mind, you might agree with this, is the top conference in the country as far as programs are concerned. You might agree with that. And just to see the way Utah just manhandled them was, Alabama made a late run there, but nothing that could really be touched. Just kind of surprising, Utah coming out of what I would call a weak conference in college football, and finishing the season undefeated, which was really impressive. I was excited for those guys. A lot of people were ranking them possibly number 2 now in the country. The number 1 slot will go to the winner of Florida, Oklahoma, and a lot of people are throwing Utah up at number 2. I don't know if I agree with that. I may say Texas earns that spot after their win last night, but
right. I thought I thought it might have wound up being a very interesting, certainly be a great story if the championship game or even one of the other bowl games had wound up being Florida and Utah, which had been a possibility late. Before Florida beat Alabama.
Yeah, if you would have had a late Oklahoma loss there too, with that Big 12 championship, if Missouri, which wasn't even a game, or the Oklahoma State game,
would have been a great story with the Florida coach playing his former team in Utah, and I think that would have been a fun matchup. But that's okay. I'll take the BCS championship game as a consolation prize. I want to give this out. If you've got a question or comment for Kent Walls, co-host of Fox College Sports Channel's Tailgate Tour, give us a call, 646-595-3135. If you are in the live web chat that accompanies every Mr. Media interview when I remember to turn it on, you can send me a message there, and we'll be happy to ask the question for you. All right, so I know that the Tailgate Tour, it's about football, but it's also about other things. So let's get down to some really important stuff. We've got the Oklahoma Sooners, we've got the Florida Gators. Which team has the best looking cheerleaders?
Oh wow, I have to go with Oklahoma on this one.
What?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. There's interference. I can't quite hear you.
This interview is ending. I don't know what's happening. I'm getting a lot of static. Okay. Here's what it is, Bob. At every stop we go, we talk to the cheerleaders, and when I spoke with the Florida cheerleaders, you guys have it set up that you have these tiers of cheerleaders. I didn't even, JV and varsity and freshman squad. I didn't even know this happened in cheerleading. And so I only got to talk to maybe 6 of them of the 28 or so cheerleaders. And it was really quick. I'm with the marching band. I don't even get to introduce myself. I run up to them. They throw some cameras on. We do a quick segment, and then I'm out. I didn't even get a chance to felt like I was talking to the guy cheerleaders more than I was talking to the Florida lady cheerleaders. With Oklahoma, I was at the Oklahoma-Texas game this year in Dallas, and I swear I spent maybe an hour with the Oklahoma cheerleaders, and all 30 of them just hanging out, having fun, talking to them, making small talk. So I think that's where the bias comes from. So I apologize for that, but I could probably get back to you. I'll be spending time with both of them here at the national championship, so we'll see what happens then.
Kent Walls helping new Oklahoma mothers get their start. I know. All right. Well, I'll accept that only because you said you were with the marching band, and well, of course, none of the good-looking Florida cheerleaders are going to talk to any guy in the marching band. Come on.
Oh man, I don't want to rip that. I don't want to say anything bad about marching band at all. I played the saxophone my freshman year of high school, so I was by no means in the marching band, but I used to play a little bit. Yeah, it's one of those things. But without the band, I say games just wouldn't be the same, right?
Right.
They may not be the football players, but without the marching band, watching an SC game, you wouldn't be hearing.
Without the marching band, how would you know it's time to get up and get a beer?
Exactly. Without the marching band, how would you know it's halftime? We wouldn't,
Yeah.
Just kidding.
All right. What about the best mascot?
Best mascot?
Yeah.
Between Oklahoma and Florida? Or are we talking games that we want to do?
And, we're at the point where none of the other teams matter anymore, and I don't even think Oklahoma matters, but I'm just trying to play along here for the sake of our show.
I like that. The Gator Chomp, Boomer Sooner's pretty strong as far as when it comes to getting fans rowdy, but the Gator Chomp, and I was actually at the Florida game this year when I interacted with all the Florida fans, the biggest cocktail party in the world up in Jacksonville when they played Georgia. So I saw a lot of decked out, just, people. I'm blanking on your 2 mascots, the girl and the guy.
Albert and Alberta.
Albert and Alberta. That's correct. I knew it. I met Albert and Alberta. I have my arms around them. They're great. They're a lot of fun. They're dancing with me. They seem to interact with the fans a lot better. So I think we've got 1-to-1 here, Bob, as far as the scoreboard's concerned. Mascots versus the cheerleaders. So Florida's back in the game. They're making a late run.
Let me give out the phone number one more time, and I'll give you a moment to reconsider that. If you've got a question or comment for Kent Walls, co-host of Fox College Sports Channel's Tailgate Tour, I've got him here live right now. Call us up. Talk to us. 646-595-3135. Even Oklahoma fans will be allowed to call in and say a few words to their school.
I think we're a little early for all the Oklahoma fans right now, being that we're a little early on the East Coast today.
You might think that, but people are actually showing up in the web chat, and I know there are people listening. So, frankly, I thought we'd be completely alone. But so I want people to call in.
Absolutely.
See what they have to say. What about the best school song? Now, I don't even know Oklahoma's. I know that Florida's is the boys of old Florida.
Mm-hmm. Bob, I'm going to go with the boys of Old Florida on this one. I'm going to give it to your school based solely on the fact that, the school song, I don't really know the history behind either of them. I'm not
you don't know the Oklahoma song, do you?
That's not true. I've heard it a couple times. I couldn't recite it right now if you had me sing it for you, though. And I precisely can remember the Florida song. So I'm going to go with Florida. If you want to sing it for me on air here, you can. Since I know you're a big Florida.
Not going to happen. Nope. And of course, the final category in today's BCS Jeopardy, the best-looking quarterback.
Best-looking quarterback. Wow.
Yeah.
My career might crash if I say the wrong answer here. Best-looking quarterback. I'm gonna tweak your answer a little bit here and go my favorite quarterback in all of college football, and for various reasons, Tim Tebow. To be honest with you, Bob, I've never seen a more humble. I've interacted with a lot of athletes in my career. I've never seen a more humble and more gracious and just flat out football player than who Tim Tebow is on and off the field. They talk about a drill that Florida does every year. I think it's called the Gauntlet, where freshmen come on the scene. Very first day of practice, they stick them in it's basically like the game you used to play as a kid. They throw the person in the middle with the ball and just say, go, and then you just have to run around and not get laid out. And apparently at Florida, everybody they do this with, they give them the ball, and the freshmen just get laid out. Well, apparently freshman year, Tim Tebow, they toss him the ball. He's one of the only freshmen in Florida history to just bust his way out of the entire team. Nobody barely even touched him. Everyone was scared to even touch him as he just busted his way out. And then supposedly they do it every year, and they make everybody get back in, but Tebow's never gone back in the middle because he put a bruising on so many of the players getting out of there. So I like Tim Tebow. You guys win.
All right, there you go. That's fair. All right, let's change gears a little bit, and let's talk a little bit about the Tailgate Tour show itself. Was this? I know this was your first season doing it. Is the show itself new?
Yeah, the show's brand new. Fox College Sports, which is a cable network in about 60 million homes, produces the show. But the show also airs on all the FSN. So all the FSN regionals air the show, and all the the FSN Prime Ticket to create that relatively a newer network. So it's first season of the show. It was a concept from my executive producer. He came up with the idea. Nobody was really doing it. A couple networks, other networks, competing networks would touch on it briefly, 2-minute segments, but nobody was doing a whole show dedicated to the college football experience. And, we thought it was something where you could really, you watch these shows. I always talk to people about this. You watch these shows on, E. The show that used to be really popular on E was Wild on E. Brooke Burke and Art Mann run around the country just talking to these crazy partiers. Well, take that and put it in football and give a lot more history and actually talk about the game, talk about the traditions, put that in the football show, and that's what we're doing. It's been a blast. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've jumped in 5-degree water at Ohio State at midnight with all the students, and I've done. It's been a lot of fun, so I can't complain at all.
Well, I was going to ask you about some of the more interesting things that you did this year. So you did the cold water. I know you went to the world's biggest cocktail party in
I did.
Jackson, which I have to tell my joke. There's a river in Jacksonville, a big river up there called the St. Johns River. Do you know why that is one of the few rivers that flows north rather than south?
I don't know.
Because Georgia sucks. Now, moving on. So what other kind of – I just been dying to say that joke. That's a fact. At least to the 30 years since I got out of college, so I don't know.
I can tell you this about the show, Bob. It's kind of like going back to college on television is what it comes down to with this show. we're running around talking to some of the most diehard fans you could find anywhere in the country. Going into Baton Rouge, Death Valley, talking to the LSU fans. I know you don't like to hear that, but, we spent a lot of time in the SEC country this year and Big 12 country, which, top two conferences. People live for their college football, especially in these cities where all they have is the school. People are just, it's crazy to watch. The RVs that pull up to these games, people are spending $500,000 on investing in their RV just so they can travel to. I met a guy at the very beginning of the season, USC Ohio State. He lives in Miami. He flies every week to every single USC game, puts himself up for, this guy's got a lot of money, and he flies back to LA for all the home games as well. So this guy's flying cross country every weekend or to Notre Dame or wherever else he's at just to see the game because he's that diehard. He's an alumni. He's an alum. And it just blew me away. I can understand if you were making a living, but as a hobby, flying every weekend I love my Arizona State Sun Devils, but I'm not flying every week to go watch the Sun Devils, especially this season, lose. So
the second book that I wrote was actually called Why Men Watch Football, and it's no great piece of literature. One of the fun things in there was talking to these guys all around the country who do things like you're talking about. I mean, they just their whole lives stop for their team, whether it's college or football. And yeah, I mean, their offices, their homes are completely designed and everything. They're the guy that their dining room table is the Florida State logo stamped on top, and
their wives love it, don't they?
Oh yeah. You got to be a certain kind of woman to live with a guy like that.
You really do. I'm not kidding you. It's interesting to see the wives. Some of the wives buy into it completely, love everything about it, almost become more diehard than the husbands. But some of the wives, you can just tell, are completely fed up with it and want nothing to do with it as they sit outside their RV and they're just almost crying as they're, why are we here every weekend? I feel like they lose their husband for a good 6 months during football season. So.
And I tell you, I'm not that diehard. I'm not. I'm just not. I actually gave up my Bucs season tickets this year after 10 or 12 years. I was so fed up with the team and the decision making and the coaching, and then seeing that all the games this year were scheduled for 1 o'clock on Sunday. It may be fall and early winter, but it is really damned hot out there in Raymond James Stadium at 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, and I'm not getting any younger. I don't know why, but I'm not, and so I love my telos, whatever sport they are, but I'm not that crazed personally.
At least you have a team in Tampa. Is the in Los Angeles we have to drive down to watch the Chargers, so that's a little frustrating. But
you got Phillip Rivers though, at least.
Yeah, we do. LaDainian Tomlinson, let's not talk about him either, how bad of a season he had. But
all right, let's continue about the show then for a minute. And let me give out the phone number again, because if you want to call in and talk about your team, we're happy to do that. 646-595-3135. Give us a call. We can resume the conversation about Oklahoma and Florida. I'd like to hear your picks if you want to call in. Talk to us about it. How different was the Tailgate Tour from the beginning of the season as a new show to the end of the season, which we're now approaching? How much did it change? How did it evolve over time?
It completely changed as far as just kind of I guess I would say the energy behind the show. Our first episode was actually USC Ohio State. We were in Los Angeles. We had all been to USC's campus multiple times. Not that it wasn't special or anything. But the game, it was such a blowout by USC, and we were all just kind of finding our bearings as far as the show specifically. But literally from episode 1 to episode 2 was such a jump as far as just on our side of things. We felt great about the entire season, but from episode 2 and on, it's been unbelievable. just capturing. It's all about just capturing the moment, capturing the vibe of what happens at these games. You know, the Oklahoma-Texas game in Dallas, where the State Fair surrounds the Cotton Bowl, and fans just spend time at the fair all day long before they go to the game, or, you know, in Death Valley, what Baton Rouge represents, or at the biggest cocktail party in the world, or at the national championship this week. Really just showing fans the experience and kind of bringing them along for the ride, and almost so they can watch the show and feel like they're a part of it. I think that's where it really changed. Not that we, you know, I love the first episode we did, but after that we really found it. We really found our niche, and we've really since then just, I don't want to say the cliche hit the ground running, but if I have to say that, we did. So that's kind of where it's changed a lot. And it's always different once you travel outside your home city to do shows. It's just a completely different vibe, especially if game day is, you know, we were at Oklahoma, Texas. Game time was noon, so we were waking people up at 4:30 in the morning at their RVs to start tailgating with cameras, which is hilarious to me. So just running in. It works when you're Sarah, my co-host, because she's a cute girl, but when you're me, people think I'm robbing them or something.
Well, I wanted to ask you about Sarah, because of course this is a two-person job. It's
Absolutely.
Ken Walls and Sarah. How do you pronounce Sarah's last name?
Cargis.
Cargis.
Sarah Cargis.
Okay, I had it right.
Yeah.
I had it right. How did the report? I imagine, you know, you guys get hired to do the show. You have to get to know each other pretty much on the run and on the road here, right? So how did the rapport develop? Yeah,
to be honest with you, Sarah's one of my closest friends when it comes to girls. I can't even explain it. We actually have the same agent, but so we kind of like knew of each other, but we'd never officially met. And then one of the first times we met was in the summer when we were early on with the meetings with Fox. It was just easy. It's so easy with Sarah. Who she is on the show is who she is in person. She's just this, you know, bubbly, cheerful character all the time. Even last night when we were watching the game, the Ohio State game, Texas game, we're sitting there and I'm just emailing. I'm kind of being quiet, and she's just constantly just like having fun, joking around with everybody. I'm like, do you ever slow down? She's great. We've become such good friends, and it's just easy working with someone like that. She's so professional, but she's also just kind of a pleasure to work with at all times. So,
I imagine the guys, when they see Sarah, their attention is diverted.
I feel like I'm her older brother / bodyguard half the time, and not the co-host of the show.
Really?
Because not in a you become protective of the people. You're protective of the people you work with, and you care about the people you work with a lot. And so, you know, you're at these games or around a lot of, you know, crazy environments. People are, you know, having a little too much to drink, and nothing's ever happened at all. But, you know, there's times where a guy will, you know, hey, what's up? And I just step in. I'm like, don't touch her. So, yeah, no, it's definitely have to be with females in those settings. You always have to be a little more careful, and we are as a network completely. So she's great, though. She handles it great. She's a total pro, and she's actually been doing. She recently did some stuff for MTV as well. She does a show. They do a show called Busted Live. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's kind of like the modern day version of Cops, but she does a lot of stuff for them as well out in New York for that show. So she's doing great. She's having a lot of fun, and we have a great relationship. So
I'm closer to 50 than college age now, so I didn't even know MTV was still on the air.
It is, but it's not about music anymore. It's about lifestyle programming.
Oh, well, see, I have no life, so you know. Where sorry. It's because it's you, Ken. I'm just enjoying the conversation. Where did you and Sarah get hit on the most when you've been on the road to these concerts?
Where did we get hit on? I don't know if I get hit on that much. Sarah Probably does, but she fights it off so quickly and shuts everybody down when it comes to getting hit on that. For me specifically, one thing sticks out in my mind was in Jacksonville, your home state, at the world's largest cocktail party. I was at this place called The Landing, which is right on the St. Johns River. It was Halloween night. Everyone's dressed up. I've got Michael Phelps running around, a guy who looked identical to him in a Speedo, swim cap, all the gold medals. It was hilarious. You got Johnny Depp, every character you can think of, Will Ferrell's version of Elf running around this landing. And I'm standing in the middle doing a sound check, just making sure we got everything kind of out of the way because I didn't want to be, whatever. And this girl, I don't know, 26, 27, just came up behind me, and suddenly I have, arms around me, hugging me like we've been married for 15 years, just embracing me. And I'm thinking I don't know, maybe it's one of my PAs or maybe it's an intern who was scared, or maybe it's one of my producers who's joking around. And I turn around, and it's this girl I've never met in my entire life, and she just looks up at me and goes, "Will you go on a date with me?" And I just turned around. I was like, you're a sweetheart, but I can't currently right now. She's like, why not? And I'm like, well, we're kind of working. And she's like, oh. And I was like, how much have you had to drink tonight, honey? And she's like, nothing. And I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, why don't you go back on the dance floor and go find someone else? So that was the moment that stuck out in my mind. It was really funny, though.
And here's what really happened. What really happened is Ken said, do you have some ID? And she did, but it wasn't over 18, so
wow.
I have this clause. No, I'm sorry. I'll try to give the rest of the show.
No, it's all right. I just, on the job, you gotta be a pro.
What are some of the more memorable things you learned about the colleges that you covered that you will take to your grave? Things that you learned that you did not know and that you'll be hard-pressed to forget?
I think one of the most interesting things I saw all season, this isn't mind-blowing or anything when you hear it, but I guess you have to experience it to really see it. Most college football stadiums or football stadiums in general that you're at, when you're standing at the edge of the end zone and you look to the fans as far as how far away depth-wise the fans are, it's a good let's say 20 to 30 yards at 20 to 30 yards to the fans where they're at. There's a good amount of distance. A lot of people are involved there. When we went to Death Valley at LSU, the way the stadium's set up, at the end of the end zone, I'm not kidding you, it was 4 footsteps, like lengthy footsteps, 4 footsteps, and you've hit the wall where the fans are sitting. That's why that stadium's so loud. They always talk about the decibel rating in there is, louder than jets that fly over. When it comes to the LSU Stadium, it's just a tight little stadium, and it was. I was blown away. I got down there and I was like, this can't be real. I feel like a player goes a little too far on that fade route for the end zone, and he's just going to take somebody out in the LSU fans. So that was one of the most interesting things. The other thing that I thought was hilarious was the Mirror Lake experience at Ohio State. Every year before the Ohio State-Michigan game, doesn't matter how big the game is. This year, the game lost a lot of its significance because Rich Rod's Michigan Wolverines were absolutely brutal this year, and Ohio State, 2 losses in the regular season keeps them barely in the top 10. So anyway, every year, Ohio State students, the Thursday night before the game or whatever, at midnight, anywhere from 9 to midnight, there's this lake called Mirror Lake in the middle of Ohio State's campus. And the students, doesn't matter how cold it is, and there's snow everywhere, they just run out. They run straight up to the lake. A lot of them, in their underwear or whatever, just jump in. Here's the funnier part. I don't know if I can tell this story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. We had an intern who was Ohio State local who we had hired. She's with our crew, and we're shooting everybody jumping in the lake. We're shooting me jumping in the lake. She got so inspired as she's working as an intern. She's like, it's my senior year. And she just jumped in while she's working for Fox Sports, which I thought was one of the funniest things in the world. Suddenly we have a crew member who's soaked because she's a senior at Ohio State, and this is her last year, and she had to jump in. And I just looked at her, and I just started laughing. I was like, really? Did you really just jump in? But I was like, whatever. Come on with me. We'll go get warm. So it was just funny to me because I didn't expect that at all. So.
It sounds like a good time was had by all on this year's tour.
Yeah, it was great. It's been a lot of fun. So.
Could Fox ever do a tailgate tour for college basketball or even for the NFL, or would it just not be the same?
Absolutely they could. They could absolutely do that. It's one of those things. If you think about it, that Duke North Carolina game, every year. Look, the weather with college basketball doesn't cater to tailgating, but it does happen. But still, you could still do the tailgate tour, the emphasis on the actual tailgates, because our show isn't all tailgating. The last 6 minutes of the show is the tailgate segment. The rest of it, we're showing history of the school. We're giving a tour of the stadium. I give a tour of the Buckeye Stadium, showing everybody all around the student section. We give a tour of the campus. We show the traditions that happen at each location and why this game is special. So you could absolutely, you could do the Super Bowl. Just all the fans that come into town. You could do the College World Series. You could do, whatever it is. You could go outside of football, which is, a great idea. And I would love to do it. So if you want to call Fox and request that.
And do you know anybody who might like to host a show like that?
I don't know. I don't know. I may know a guy who may be able to do it for Fox. I don't know. So, if you want to call Fox College and put in a request, you let me know.
Okay. All right. So how much football did you guys actually get to watch during the course of the season? Or were you working through the games? Or did your show, should point this out, the show tends to air the week after the game. So you've collected all the video and almost a look back in that regard. So how much football do you actually get to watch?
We shoot up until about the first quarter of the game. Is when we kind of wrap, just to make sure we have everything. It's showing all the pregame festivities. It's showing all the experience because we're here all week, shooting in Miami for the national championship. So after the first quarter, typically we'll head in. Fans are never excited because I'm usually wearing, the wrong colored T-shirt is what it comes down to. Whether I'm in a gray or black or whatever I'm in, I'm walking into a stadium full of crimson red and burnt orange, and they're like, "What? You're Oklahoma or Texas? You're black. Well, you have a black shirt on. That you're wearing wrong colors. I'm working. Don't hate me." And then Fox always gets us great seats, so then people are even more mad because they've already taken those seats because they didn't think someone was showing up, and suddenly I'm the guy who comes in late, takes their seat. So I suddenly go from the nice guy talking to people to being hated inside the stadium. No, but everyone's cool. It's funny though. It's just interesting. But it's been we get to watch a lot. We're all, the whole crew, diehard college football, diehard football in general. I'm a huge professional football fan. We all go in together and we all watch the game and have a lot of fun after the show's over. So I think there's only been one game I didn't go to. The very first game of the season, USC Ohio State. I can't remember why I didn't go, but I didn't see that game. I saw it from my couch at my house. So
now, as we're just kind of getting close to wrapping up here, I'm wondering, has the network talked to you about next season yet?
That's all up in the air. That's as the host, sometimes you're the last to know. So. I know there's been a lot of discussions. I don't know any details at all. I wish I did. But we'll see what happens. So we're excited. We've had a really great season, and Fox College has just been unbelievable as far as giving Sarah and I this opportunity to run around the country, talk to college football fans, and it's just been a blessing to do this season. If we can do a second season of this, more games, that would be unbelievable. It would be awesome. If it doesn't happen, they treated us amazing, and they were great to us this football season. We're hoping for a second season, though. So I'm crossing my fingers and saying a little prayer and hoping we have a second season because it'd be a lot of fun. So, and there's so much more. I guess there's so much more to show college football fans. I would say there's so many other games that we didn't touch on this year. You know, games like Army-Navy, you know, games that, you know, some of the SEC, the Big 12 title, the SEC championship at the end of the year that we just didn't get a chance because our busy schedules to get out there. And it'd be great to just show fans that experience as well. So.
What are you doing once the season ends? Do you have a next gig lined up?
Yeah, there's a couple different shows. Unfortunately, I wish I could publicly speak about them, but I can't currently publicly speak about them. Hopefully soon I'll be able to. That I'll be working on. So, and then there's several in development right now, and I'll be able to talk about those in a month or two.
Right, well,
but for right now, I wish I could, but I can't.
I'll look for a personal email with all the details on that.
Absolutely, Bob. You know that. You know you'll get the personal email.
So as we kind of wrap up, I think we need to get a prediction from you for the game Thursday. Florida, Oklahoma. Who's it going to be, and by what score?
It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a shootout. Basically, in my opinion, I think Oklahoma, they're not going to score 60, okay? But they're going to put up numbers on this Florida defense that Florida defense hasn't seen all season. However, I do think that Florida's going to be able to counter that. I think Tebow and the boys are going to step it up. I'm calling a final drive by Tebow to win the national title. I'm going with 35-28.
Wow.
35-28. It's going to be 28-28. I know this is very specific. You think they're driving for the field goal, but Oklahoma defense is going to slip and they're going to get the touchdown, win it by 7.
Well, you've even got the end plays figured out. Forget about that.
I know. Who knows if that's true? But 35-28 is my prediction. Florida wins it. Tim Tebow, second title in 3 years. Wow. He will leave as one of the top college quarterbacks of all time.
And do you think that he goes pro after this, or do you think he comes back for a senior year?
Man, I know you're hoping he comes back for a senior year. It's you know, Colt McCoy, Texas quarterback, has been very candid about the fact that he's coming back. You know, Bradford's not is the word on the street right now. Matt Stafford over at Georgia apparently is going pro as well. You know, if I were Tebow, the thing about Tebow, you know, I think he's going to leave, but you never know with Tebow. Tebow spends a lot of his off season in third world countries helping less fortunate kids. You never know what the guy will do. Sometimes I think Tim Tebow will just be like, you know what, I love football, but I can change the world in other ways, and I'm going to go out and help the needy and work at a homeless shelter. That's the kind of guy that Tim Tebow is. That's why I'm such a huge fan of him. He's just got such a voice and such an outlet and such kind of a platform, and he really uses it for the greater good of society in my mind. So, I love Tim Tebow. He's a great guy. I hope he stays, and I hope Florida, you know, maybe they get 3, unless my Sun Devils somehow turn their program around next year. I'll be cheering for Tebow again next year. So, 35-28, Bob.
I like that. Now, I know when you go on with the host later in the day who's from Oklahoma, it'll be 35-28 Oklahoma, but that's okay. I'll take what you said for
That's not true. Actually, Sarah's has a lot of family from the Oklahoma area, so she's the one that is partial to Oklahoma, and I'm the one here. I'm being completely honest. I am a Florida fan for this game, so I cheered for Texas when they beat Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout earlier this year, so I'm going to cheer against Oklahoma again. Sorry, Oklahoma fans.
The thing I'm always curious to see this season has been the teams that come out and are expecting Tebow to run, and then the teams who don't seem to have watched any film and don't know that he's going to run. And so if it the thing that concerned me the last couple Florida games of the season is that I thought they overplayed the run because everyone was expecting it, and I'm hoping that Urban Meyer, if he sees that they're expecting the run so often early in the game, that he'll go back to having a throw-in quarterback for a while to shake things up. And if he's too predictable, as I think they were a bit late in the season, that they'll counteract that. But I think that'll be
the good thing for Florida is you guys have your offensive coordinator who just took a new head coaching job, and there's been all the drama that was 4 weeks ago in the Florida program is gone, and now all the drama in my mind is shifted to Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma Sooners, because all the talk that the Broncos are possibly going to hire him after they fired Shanahan, and there's just kind of been a lot rumors and distractions in my mind that have been circling in the Oklahoma camp, which some people believe, and some people don't, that those kind of distractions can really make or break a game. I really believe they can make it. They can really break a game for the Sooners. So, if you're a player for the Sooners and you're hearing that your coach might be leaving next year for the Broncos, I don't care what you say. That messes with your head. And so we'll see if that messes with the national championship.
Well, I can put it in NFL context. When Monty Kiffin announced he was leaving the Bucs with 5 or 6 games to go, they didn't win another game.
Yeah, they just check out,
Yeah.
It's just like when the Cardinals made the playoffs this year. It's a different correlation here, but the Arizona Cardinals make the playoffs, and then they just check out for the final 4 games. Just a mindset that players get into, whatever that distraction is. They make the playoffs, the head coach gets fired, someone on the team gets suspended, and it can always, it can be the reverse effect. You look at the Redskins last year when Sean Taylor passed away, and then the kind of numbers they put up following that tragedy were unbelievable. So.
Well, folks, listen, you can catch my on Fox Sports and Fox College Sports tailgate tour. The final will air a week after the game. What is it, the 16th, Ken?
Yeah, Fox College airs the show on Friday the 16th, and the FSN, all your regional networks, will be that Monday. So it's different in every region. I always say check your local listings.
Yeah, or go to the Fox Sports website. Check it out.
Absolutely.
There.
You can go to tailgatetour.com as well to find out all the info on the show.
Tailgatetour.com?
Yep.
All right. Well, Kent, always a pleasure to talk, either for public consumption or private.
Absolutely, Bob. I really appreciate it.
Congratulations on the season, and thanks so much for joining us on Mr. Media today. It was wonderful to have you as a guest.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it, and have a great day, and I'll be cheering for your Gators, all right?
Thank you. Go Gators. Take care, Ken.
See you.
Bye-bye. All right, folks. For more great sports-related interviews, I think they were great. I actually had these conversations. Surf over to our main website, www.mrmedia.com, where you can listen to my earlier conversations with Bill Romanowski. I'm drawing a blank here. Soccer. Help me, somebody! The women's soccer player who ripped off her top at the end of the championship, the Olympics. You know who I'm talking about. And yes, Stevens, go Gators. Anyway, sports writers, Peter Gallenbach, Pete Williams. Check it out, mrmedia.com. And please think about writing an online review of Mr. Media, casting a vote for Mr. Media, or marking Mr. Media as one of your favorites, whether you listen on Blog Talk Radio, Pointer Online, Digital Journal, Podcast Pickle, Vox, Folio, Mediafly, Podfeed.net, Blueberry, Zencast, Odeo, or iTunes. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many locations. If you've got an idea for a guest, email me. Oh, thank you, Stevens. Brandy Chastain. Yes, it's lovely having the web chat. I appreciate the help. It was Brandy Chastain I did the interview with. If you've got an idea for a guest, email me directly at bob@andelman.com, ANDELMAN. You can also follow me on Facebook or on Twitter, www.twitter.com/Andelman. Thanks so much for joining us today. Always appreciate when you give a piece of your day to spend it with us. Go Gators and come back real soon. Bye, everybody.